Konnichiwa watashi no kanyusha. It's time for another movie review. The movie in question right now is Red Cliff, or more properly known as Chibi. This is an absolute blockbuster in China, so much so that it actually broke the box office record previously held by by Titanic in mainland China. That's how big of a deal this movie is. Red Cliff is it's an fucking epic Chinese war film. It's based off of the Battle of Red Cliffs in 208 to 209 AD Chinese history, during the Three Kingdoms era, the turbulent era, the end of the Han Dynasty. I have just finished watching part one. This is my first time seeing this film, and I just want to say that for all you Dynasty Warrior fans out there, and to anyone who's ever read any of the literature surrounding the Three Kingdoms, I'm talking about, of course, Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel. If you're familiar with Romance of the Three Kingdoms, if you're familiar with the Three Kingdoms era, if you've played the game Dynasty Warriors, this movie, I just want to say, quite simply, this movie will satisfy your every need. Truly. The plotline is executed very smoothly, and it's very easy to follow. In the beginning of the movie, you get a very clear sense of the political atmosphere throughout China. You have in the very beginning, in the very opening scene, you have the emperor, the leader of the Han, and the final emperor of the Han Dynasty. This is during the falling. This is during the end of the Han Dynasty. In historical China, and you have Cao Cao, who has taken the role of prime minister, as it's translated to English, and essentially the emperor himself is young and a pushover and a coward and easily coerced, and because the emperor's word is essentially viewed as the mandate of heaven, Cao Cao can easily bully the emperor into supporting his rallies for war and such. Now, I do want to point out that there are several films regarding the Three Kingdoms era that portray Cao Cao in very different lights. In this movie, he is viewed as a tyrant. And Cao Cao holds a very prominent position in government and has a great deal of influence. With the emperor's mandate backing him, his military expeditions are funded, essentially, and approved by the Han Dynasty, the Han Emperor, thus allowing Cao Cao to essentially do nearly whatever he wants, as long as he can rationalize it to a certain degree. And in the video, he accuses the two other lesser leaders in the country by the names of Liu Bei and Sun Quan, or Quan, more simply, of being rebels, essentially. That is the word that, at least, was translated into English for me that I read. As I watched the video in Mandarin, and I had English subtitles, and I really strongly suggest that you, the viewer, choose the same route. It comes off far more genuinely, in my opinion. Now, he accuses Liu Bei and Sun Quan of being rebels to the Han Empire. Now, of course, from Liu Bei and Sun Quan's, and, well, the audience, essentially's perspective, this is total rubbish. Cao Cao is looking for an excuse to assault these future political adversaries of his, and he is asserting his influence and power over as much of historical China as he possibly can in the movie's context. Romance of the Three Kingdoms itself is semi-fiction. There is a lot of romanticization in the novel itself. Now, a lot of these prominent figures likely did exist in China and likely did carry out a majority of the exploits, but of course, many of these things are quite embellished and exaggerative and dramatized and such. As Oriental history is very popularly known for doing, and I personally truly enjoy. Now, with all this in mind, Cao Cao in the movie's plot, Cao Cao begins rallying for war against Liu Bei and Sun Quan. Fans of the Dynasty Warrior series will likely be able to identify with the opening battle scene as it depicts the Battle of Changban, or more commonly known as the battle that made Zhou Yun legendary, essentially. Zhou Yun in this movie is referred to as Zhou Zilong. This was the battle that Zhou Yun, or in the movie as he's called, Zhou Zilong, rescues Liu Bei's son from the confusion and the chaos of Cao Cao's forces attacking Liu Bei's one of Liu Bei's cities, his villages. That is how the movie starts. Liu Bei, Zhuge Liang, Liu Bei's key strategist, Zhuge Liang, who in this movie is played by Kaneshiro Takeshi, who does an excellent job here. He cleverly outsmarts the Cao forces and actually blinds their cavalry with a very clever use of glare, of using the sun to literally blind the oncoming cavalry of Cao Cao's men with the backsides of their shields. Very impressive. I thought that was a very nice touch to open the video. Liu Bei's villager do escape, and of course, the threat of Cao Cao is very firmly established. Liu Bei knows that if he's going to survive with his far lesser and adequate forces, if he's going to survive the onslaught of Cao Cao's forces, he's going to need to make an alliance with someone that he can trust. And this is where Zhuge Liang becomes a pinnacle figure in the movie. He goes and attempts to make a truce and an alliance with what Dynasty Warriors fans will know as the Wu. I'm talking about the Sun family. In this case, the current leader of the time, Sun Quan, or Sun Quan, as he's more simply known in English. And he is successful. He successfully forms a relationship with Wu's key strategist by the name of Shao Yu, who is played by the excellent actor Tommy Leung, who plays Broken Sword in Hero. So fans of that movie will know what an excellent actor he truly is. He plays the role of Zhao Yu very, very well. Zhou Yu, I was very impressed with Zhuge Liang and Zhou Yu. So the alliance is successful, and Sun Quan, a lot of allegory and symbology was used to influence and persuade Sun Quan into taking up arms against Cao Cao. A lot of Chinese proverbs and such as comparing Cao Cao to the tiger lurking in the shadows and such. They go out hunting, and there's just so many little moments, so many very clever, intelligent moments where, for example, just when someone views a land tortoise and makes a comment on it, Zhuge Liang and Zhou Yu come to a clever conclusion. There's a lot of very clever writing in this movie. I was very, very pleased with the intricate details of each scene. The exchanges and the conversations on this movie are excellent. The script is excellent. The execution is excellent. I strongly urge that you, the viewer, watch this in Mandarin and have it translated to your respective language. It's far, far, far better that way. Just all in all, this movie is this portion of the movie, part 1, is fantastic. Wu and Shi make a firm alliance and lead a successful ambush upon Cao Cao's forces, which were actually intended to ambush Liu Bei and Sun Quan. So they very cleverly, tactically outsmarted them on that occasion. Cao Cao, there is a great element of this movie that is going to be pinnacle in part 2, and is mentioned a great deal in part 1, and that is that Cao Cao, being a lord of the north, has never had very much experience with naval combat, and he is these so-called rebels he's trying to exterminate. I'm talking about Sun Quan and Liu Bei, particularly the Wu, the Sun family, and Zhou have a great deal of experience with naval combat as they're from the south. So essentially there is a ongoing philosophical struggle that Shi and Wu, Liu Bei and Sun Quan's forces realize that the only way they're going to survive these incredible odds, and they are incredibly outnumbered, they're outnumbered about 8 to 1. They realize the only way they're going to be able to overcome Cao Cao is by the benefit of experience, essentially. Cao Cao has only two close vassals of his that have actual naval experience. They are from the south themselves, and he is heavily relying on their experience. So Zhou and Zhuge Liang, towards the end of the movie, towards the end of part 1, come to the conclusion that if they are to outsmart Cao Cao, if they have any hope of surviving these incredible odds, they're going to need to essentially declaw the tiger. That wasn't a quote from the movie, I just felt like throwing a pun in there. But yeah, they essentially had to remove the fangs from the tiger. Without naval experience, Cao Cao's men are essentially, floating on rickety ships. They don't know what to expect, and Zhou and Zhuge Liang truly recognize this, and this will play a pinnacle part in the second part of the movie. This has been my synopsis on part 1. I will get to part 2, and I will give you my overall feelings of the entire execution of Chibi, or Red Cliff. I'm giving part 1 a 92%, 92 out of 100. Yeah, just fucking fantastic stuff. It has all of the great elements of Chinese cinema that I love. It has the martial arts, it has the grand scale, the atmosphere, the color, the music, the wardrobe. It's just fantastic, and the acting is just great. So yes, please check this movie out for yourself. 92 out of 100. Part 2, I will upload part 2 when I get around to watching it in the next coming day. So thank you very much. ありがとうございます。さようなら。